YouTube is pretty much every company's most neglected marketing channel, and it makes no sense. In fact, it drives me a little bit nuts. In this video, I'm going to explain why and give you 5 very good reasons to treat YouTube with the respect it deserves in 2025 and beyond. So let's get started with reason number 1, and let's get the obvious out of the way. Now, reason number 1 is basically just the sheer scale of YouTube. Let me throw a few facts in your general direction. Fact number 1, YouTube has 2.7 billion monthly active users, which is well over half of the world's online population. And if the US is your core market, then it's good to know that 92% of the US online population is on YouTube every single week, and over 60% of it uses it every single day. And that means your target audience, whoever they may be, are almost certainly on YouTube right at this very moment. So let's keep going. And here you're going to have to forget your prejudices about YouTube being some kind of Facebook-esque platform for boomers and aging millennials, because the facts just don't support this. 95% of teenagers in the US say they use YouTube versus just 67% who say they use TikTok. And you're going to have to forget the prejudices about YouTube being something you watch on kind of a precariously perched laptop when you should be going to bed. Why? Because YouTube has already overtaken Netflix as the primary streaming platform for television, and it's already overtaken the short-form engagement behemoths of TikTok and Instagram when it comes to the volumes on mobile. 1.5 billion monthly active users on YouTube versus TikTok's 1.2 billion. And the potential ad reach outstrips those other platforms 3-1. And yes, it arguably falls short on engagement metrics versus TikTok and Instagram, but remember that it's a younger format. And unlike its competitors, short form definitely isn't everything. I mean, in fact, when people typically measure engagement on these social platforms, they don't actually discuss the most important one for companies, which is conversion. And on that metric, YouTube definitely wipes the floor with all the other social networks. Why? Because it's not a walled garden. You can post links at your discretion in the YouTube description and on your channel, unlike the Instagrams and LinkedIns of this world that really actively kind of oppress and suppress links. And this simple feature of the platform, combined with those aforementioned volumes, mean that it's the second biggest referrer on the internet after Google. It's bigger than Facebook, it's bigger than X, and it's bigger than Reddit. And this is important for companies like yours, because it means YouTube is measurable. It means you can prove the value of your investment by tracking traffic referred to your product or service from YouTube. And yes, your YouTube channel can then become a performance channel. Which brings me on to reason number 2, why you should have a YouTube channel as a company. It's because it's so much more than just a channel. It can become the source platform on which you base a huge percentage of your marketing. Let's just consider the range of different formats available to you on YouTube, starting with the traditional long-form video, YouTube's bread and butter. These pieces of content will be the main brand builders and conversion drivers, but they can also serve a nurture function if you build the video content into your email funnels, and they can also serve to boost your organic search performance if you embed your long-form videos into your written content, whether that's blog posts or case studies or product pages. In fact, at every company I've worked at, we've managed to grow SEO as a channel by coupling it with a robust YouTube strategy. So the next format after those long forms is lives. Now, YouTube lives are a fantastic way to drive real-time engagement on your channel, often precipitating jumps in things like watch time and subscriber growth. And once that live is over, then it gets housed in the live tab on your channel, and it can continue to garner views in the background. And you can download them and use them as a source of shorts as well. And that's not all. If you have a smart webinar strategy, you can also hook up tools like Zoom and BigMarker and Restream to distribute live webinars in real time to your other socials, whether that's LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook or X or whatever, and use this as a way to both capture and nurture leads across channels. And just to illustrate how successful this can be and drop a few numbers in here, like using a strategy like this, like a webinar strategy for acquisition and nurture, we've driven up to 7 million in annual revenue for our clients, accelerating closing times for the sales team and boosting conversion rate by over 100%. Anyway, let's get back to the remaining formats. So you have podcasts and community posts and YouTube Shorts. Now, you probably would have noticed that most of the world's top podcasters, whether it's Joe Rogan or Call Me Daddy, distribute their podcasts as both video and audio, reaching a huge audience by combining these 2 distribution methods. And since pivoting to go big on podcasts, Spotify's been quick to integrate video onto their platform. Now, podcasts for your company are a great way of developing personal brands under the umbrella of your company brand, of positioning yourselves as experts in your domain, of improving retention and emotional investment in your channel and your brand, and providing yet more content for repurposing and lead nurture. So hopefully now you kind of get the idea of how YouTube can become a source platform for so much content. But let's not linger on the formats. Your time is precious. Let's move on to reason number 3. And it's definitely connected. It's how YouTube can become your content hub. So, I mean, I've already alluded to this previously, but it really deserves its own emphasis. So as a startup or a scale-up, production for YouTube basically means production for your entire marketing strategy. You basically build that in-house content hub, that studio, that production agency. This step has really been a key evolution of any marketing team I've ever led, and it's been an inflection point in going from just a few million to the tens and even the hundreds of millions of the startups that I've worked at in terms of the annual revenue. So let's take the example of shorts. If you produce shorts, these can be very easily reused to level up the volume and quality of your posts to other socials like Instagram, Reels, for example, and even LinkedIn, which is now going all in on short form video itself. Now, they might not be perfectly optimized, but they'll be a billion times better than nothing, and kind of a forcing factor to build audiences across your socials. So let's move on to reason number 4 for why you should have your YouTube channel as a company, the personal brand. Now, I mentioned this when I was talking about podcasts, but let's double click it. And let's get a little bit more philosophical as well. Now, we all know AI is going to take our jobs. Things like ad creation, management, blog posts, all going to become supremely commodified and easy to produce. They basically already are. Personal brands are one of the final frontiers because one thing AI will never be able to do, basically by definition, is be authentically you. And you know, authentic was always kind of a fluffy, cringy, very overused word in the world of marketing, but now it's actually got a meaning you can grasp. It means not AI, it means real. It means actually someone making something or crafting something. And here there are parallels to Warholian mass production and how it cheapens everything. A personal brand, on the other hand, will become only more valuable against this backdrop of limitless inhuman guff. So here's my favorite example of a personal brand at a startup. So when I was working at Babbel, I was sat in the kitchen and in walked a young man by the name of Matthew with a long professor-like beard. He proceeded to greet colleague after colleague after colleague in their native language, clocking up 5 or 6 language switches. So I asked him how many languages he spoke, and he said 11 fluently and perhaps kind of 20 conversation. And then I asked him, obviously, if we could make a video of him speaking all those different languages. So we rested my dad's old camera on a stack of books, and we filmed him kind of weaving his way through a multi-language monologue. We then subbed the video in 6 languages and released it, and it's since kind of tallied up around 20 million views across all those versions. So then we decided to make more videos with Matthew, and this kind of polyglottism became the unofficial brand strategy of the company. And it was only on our 3rd shoot that Matthew then mentioned that he actually had a twin brother that spoke just as many languages as he did. And our minds were obviously blown, and we put those blown minds to thinking up concepts for the next videos, like challenging them to learn languages in progressively more improbably short time periods, whether it's like Turkish in a week or Romanian in an hour, and so on and so forth. Now, I don't know how many millions of views all those videos have now, but I do know that those twins were then invited onto radio and TV stations throughout Europe, and a couple of hugely valuable personal brands were born. Now, this might be an extreme example, but like all extreme examples, it's impeccably demonstrative. It shows how turning your company inside out to show off your expertise can be a game-changing marketing device. So yeah, YouTube is basically the perfect vehicle for your brand and your personal brand. And that brings me neatly to the final reason number 5. YouTube is a resilient, reliable platform and partner. It's a search and discover platform where the TikToks and Instagrams of this world are more like discover and destroy platforms. Let's take an example. Like before filming this video, I took a peek at a previous client's sales dashboard, literally at their revenue. And even though they haven't released a YouTube video in a year, their views haven't dropped, and they continue to make around 100K in revenue through the channel every single month. I mean, 2 things here. Firstly, they should definitely make more YouTube videos, of course, but also it just demonstrates that YouTube is arguably even more resilient and robust than SEO as a channel. I mean, like years, perhaps even decades after release, your top content can continue to perform for you. It continues to get found through search and pushed through discovery in a kind of perfect right jab, left hook combo, which means you can go to sleep, you can go on holiday, you can take a break, all in the knowledge that YouTube is working for you. In many ways, it's kind of the most human of the socials for that reason. Okay, that just about wraps it up for today. Subscribe if you haven't done already, and I'll see you next time on YouTube.